Mayor Finley, first, welcome to Sunday Mornings with the Mayors.
Well, I appreciate you coming out and having me.
For this installment, we'd kind of like to talk about a recent event which may not exactly be something that you'd want to talk about per se, and that's the incident that happened at Discovery Middle School a while back. You had some student-on-student violence, and as a mayor, a chief executive of the city, particularly a city that was recently voted one of the best places to raise a child, how do you handle that? How do you respond to that and move forward?
Well, I think the first thing you do is you address it head on. You know, it won't go away. It happened. I think most everyone in the city of Madison would tell you that they're very frustrated that it happened. One, because two children's lives are immediately affected and impacted, but the rest of the community, also the innocence that we had as far as being that #2 community in the nation to grow up, is also touched. But I think the reality of it is we still are that community. We always were a community that had bumps along the way. They weren't anywhere close to as prominent as what happened. You know, it's a heinous act that happened. But it's an individual act. So I guess when you go back as the mayor of a city, how do I handle that? You address it head on. You continue to focus on what's so positive about our community, and build off of that. In the same sense, we address the act and how to improve with a committee that's headed by two prominent people here in the Huntsville-Madison community, General Drolet, Mary Jane Kaler, and their team, who will help us analyze how we get better as far as you said, the kid-on-kid violence and the social aspects of growing up and what we can do to help support those kids, make it better in the schools, improve communication. And if we can possibly do anything from a security standpoint and a safety standpoint, there's a team that's going to look at that too. So there's no question we still are that community. We are going to take a step backwards, but once we continue to get our footing and go forward, we're going to be that much stronger.
You talked about how you as a mayor react to an incident such as this, which obviously is going to be something that people associate with the community for some time to come. How do you think the community has reacted, and how do you think that they will take part in bringing the city back together or moving forward as citizens?
I think the community has already shown its willingness to kind of take that family-like atmosphere and pull in almost defensively as others look at the community. But most important, they're looking at themselves. How can I, as a parent, make sure that I'm more involved with my kids, even more so than I was? How do you run that? Help your kids grow up and understand that incidents like this are individual acts. But they're going to happen. They're going to happen. Doesn't matter where you live, and so you control your own destiny in so many instances by how you look at things in a positive or a negative manner. I'm seeing families who are more involved. I'm seeing parents who are more focused. You know, if you go back to that top 10 list, and I challenge anyone, to go again, look at that: Virginia Beach, San Jose, the cities that we were aligned and associated with have these same types of minor blips along the way. It doesn't change the fact that you focus on the positives, the parks that we have, the fact that 20% of our community is 18 or under, and so it's so great to grow up in a neighborhood full of kids. Just I use the example when we were given that honor. In my direct, just across the street from me, and the 4 houses on either side, the 10 houses that are closest to mine and have 21 kids between those 10 houses. It's still a great place to go to school. It's still a great place to raise your children, to go to parks. We're close enough to a bigger city like Huntsville where we can enjoy the Space and Rocket Center, the museums, the festivals that go on. It doesn't change what made this community rank so high. It simply allows you to understand we really are no better or no worse than anybody else. We're just like everyone else. We have minor blips, but we're still a great community. I think that's what I'm seeing from families who take a step back and analyze, Yes, we want to try to make it better, but we're already pretty darn good.
Mayor Finley, you have 3 boys of your own, ranging from ages 10 to 17. How have you talked about this with them and reassured them that, you know, as parents, you know, this is an isolated thing? How have you reacted and dealt with your own family?
Well, and that's a great question. I can tell you that the Saturday night after the incident, we sat down as a family, and we talked through what had happened. You know, the first thing you do as a parent is you make sure that those kids know that you love them regardless of anything that were ever to happen. That you certainly, you know, in a situation like this as a parent, if you know that you want to open the communication lines, that it's critical that they realize, you know, that love also means that as a parent you are going to make sure that you do parent. You know, it doesn't mean that I won't still be upset if you tell me something. It doesn't mean that one of the, you know, the small choices that you didn't make that were positive won't have some consequences. But the key is I wanted them to know, and we wanted to talk as a family about, you know, how proud I was as a parent of them, how important I wanted them to, how important the communication end was for them. The other thing I wanted to make sure that I did is let them know how open my ears were and how willing I was to listen, and how much I understood how tough it was to be a kid, how in multiple aspects they have to deal with so much. You know, a couple of my kids are big sports enthusiasts and playing on teams, and there's different pieces that have there. My 5th grader is such a gregarious and friendly kid in multiple different, you know, playing in the neighborhood, to going to church, and talking about, you know, how kids can sometimes be tough on kids, and how I want to be ears and a listener to them versus just someone who is always telling them what to do. The biggest thing is I want to know how important they are in my life. I told, just to be quite honest with you, I told the 3 of them that I would quit my job tomorrow if it meant I needed to do that for them. That's how important they are to me. They assured me that wasn't needed right now, but I wanted them to know that's how important they are, and because of that, that's how critical I think communication is, and how stringent we will continue to be to make sure they grow up as fine young men. I'm so proud of all 3 of them. I have 3 great boys, but we wanted to make sure communication channels were open, and they have even been more so since then, which I'm really proud of.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
All right.